if you see that man just do am, God says man just bless am.
You see, it's in responsibilities that we bring.
The life of a Christian is a life of responsibility. So responsibility is seeing the ability of God in you and the gifts of God.
Hi guys, you're welcome to the Dominators World. I am Midi, and I'd like to welcome you to the second episode of our Christian Living series. I haven't said with me Sinzu. Say hi to the camera.
Hello.
Beauty.
Hi.
And Ebube. Today we're going to be talking about responsibilities in the house of God. As a Christian, we all know that we are supposed to have responsibilities in the house of God. For example, if you think about it, what most people say is that I'm going, when they want to refer to them going to church, they say I'm going for service. Do you get? Now, there are some other people on the other hand where in their mind they are just like, come to church, listen to the word, give your offering and go home, and don't send any other thing. I don't wash my hand come off for any other thing.
Okay.
Do you understand? But thinking about it, as Christians, are we supposed to have responsibilities in the house of God? Are we supposed to do things in the house of God? Since we talk to us, what do you think?
Okay. Firstly, before we start, we need to know what responsibility is first of all. Responsibility is the right response to the ability of God in you. It's a response to the gift of God in you. Just like you recognizing that which God has for you.
Yeah.
Taking a look at David from the Bible. David, when he was about to go deliver food for his brothers, when he wanted to go and fight Goliath, guess what? In that scenario, David had the right response to the ability of God in him. David had the right response to the ability of God in him.
Continue.
He saw the world differently than others. Let's take a look at 1 Samuel 17. 1 Samuel 17. And it says, 1 Samuel 17, let's start from, okay, the thing first gave a definition, first gave a briefing of what happened actually, of what was going on in the camp. When Goliath actually approached them and they saw him, they were like, yay. He came, challenged them, they were all afraid. Even Saul, who was responsible for taking Israel and winning that fight, but no, he became irresponsible at that point.
Yeah.
Because he considered not the gift of God in him. So now, let's start from let's start from verse 30. And it says from verse 25, and the men of Israel said, have you seen this man that is come? That's they were trying to tell David. Said, surely to defy Israel is he come up, and it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. What he actually did was that Saul wanted to pass on the responsibility that was his. And David saw it as an opportunity that, okay, this is because he is trying to enrich the person that does these things. That means he passed on the responsibility to another person, making another person see what Saul was actually meant to see. And David caught the vision. He actually saw it. Okay, let's take a look at 1 Samuel 17, 34 to 35, where David was trying to explain his responsibility status. And it says, and David said to Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock, and I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. He was trying to show him that, yes, I was responsible for my father's flocks. I did this, I did that. That means I'm very responsible. He gave his responsibility status, and he actually defined that, okay, he's responsible to take up other responsibilities. So he saw the ability of God in him. So responsibility is seeing the ability of God in you and the gifts of God in you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's really awesome. And if you think about it, responsibility in the house of God goes way farther than just maybe winning souls or stuff. Yes, soul winning is our core responsibility as Christians. Now, taking from what Saints you say, that David was trying to show. Wait, no vex.
Continue.
That David was trying to show that he was responsible. So that means that God has put this responsibility in us as Christians here, and we are supposed to show it. We are supposed to exhibit these responsibilities. But let's look at it. Beauty, talk to us. What do you think?
All right, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Can we take a look at what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 4 verse 7? Paul said, we have treasure in earthly or earthen vessels, that the excellency of the knowledge may be of God and not of us. God has invested so much ability, so much wisdom, so much abilities in us. So in taking up responsibilities in the house of God, that's like a way to put everything He has invested in us to work.
Exactly.
So there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you work, like anything you do in the house of God, you are blessing God. Yeah, it is your advantage, your partnership. So it's all in the packaging.
It all works together.
Yes, it all works together. It's all in the packaging you get.
Yeah.
So we should not be shy about it.
Yeah.
You should not be shy carrying rag to clean the seats. No, that is not it.
Yeah. Also, taking from Matthew, we check from the book of like Matthew 22. Yeah, it shows us that we are supposed to love God before we love others, before we love ourselves. Do you get it? So loving God as a Christian is also a responsibility. Do you get it? It is my responsibility to love the Father, to do the will of the Father, because He has called me to do it. That is also my responsibility as a Christian. But taking from what everybody has said, I would like to hear from you, Ebube. Let us hear from you.
Thank you so much, Miguel, for. Okay, so basically, like you said, we are meant to love God even before ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, I realize that it's as a result of the love we have for Christ. That is why we do these things. Understand? Like, because if you don't love God, you won't see the need to want to take up responsibilities in church. Because firstly, like she said, like Beauty said, God already put these gifts in us. He put these abilities in us. Like now, so many of us now, we have different phases of life, like what we do for a living. You know, we can bring it down to the church. There's some people that are very good with camera. There's people that are good with singing and stuff. You know, but when you come to the church with this ability, with these gifts, you know, you are meant to invest in, because before you found out you were able to do these things, it was already deposited there by God for these reasons. We should understand that the things that we have in us is for the gospel. It's for God firstly before any other thing. Yeah, so you know, we have to try as much as possible to make sure we utilize our God-given talent in the house of God.
Oh, that's actually very true. Very true. That's actually very true. Because if you think about it, I'm a drummer. I play drums in church, and this talent was invested in me by God. And the only way I can show this talent to the world is by playing in the house of God. Now, the drums in church is my responsibility. When I get to church in the morning, I clean the drums. I don't wait for cleaners or venue managers to come and clean my drums for me. I clean my drums. Before I sit on my drums to play, I actually pray on those drums. Dig it? Because I see this as my responsibility. And you know, when something is given to you, yeah, it is your responsibility to make sure that it works. Dig it? It's your responsibility to make sure that it works. And then also, I think as Christians, we are our responsibility. I said something initially that soul winning is our core responsibility. Now, it is not just for, I don't think it's just for the pastors or the leaders to win souls. You get, every Christian has been called into the life of winning souls because that's our responsibility. But thinking about it, some people might be asking, do you think there are any advantages of carrying out these responsibilities in church? Since are there any advantages of responsibilities?
There are a lot of advantages. Because first of all, when Samuel, if still looking at David, because that scripture is just a perfect example of whatever we're talking about. It's just a perfect example. It suits the definition. Now, when First Samuel 17:25, have you seen this man that came up surely to defy Israel? Is he come up, and it shall be that the man who killed him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and he will give him his daughter and make his father's house free in Israel. If a man can give gifts to somebody that takes up responsibilities, how much more God? So if a man can give you his own daughter for killing Goliath, how much more, what will God give you for doing responsibilities in his house? Because everything that happens in the human form already originated from God. They are copies of what God can actually do. Because if a man can bless you, if a man can just bless you for doing something for him, let's say you clean his house, somebody gives you money. Imagine if you clean God's house.
And that's why the Bible says, ye who are men, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your sons.
Yeah.
What do you think God will do to you? What do you think God will do for you when you carry out these responsibilities in the house of God? And I noticed that a lot of Christians, when they get to church, for example, they're always waiting for somebody to do something.
Yeah.
Do you understand? For example, I get to church and I'm about to sit down here and I start asking, where is the cleaner? Oh,
Those are what we call babies of God.
Child!
Those are people we call babies, you know.
Yeah.
Because I realized something. When you come into maturity, you understand that this is personal.
Yeah.
That's responsibilities in the house of God. You don't need to wait for the next person to do it. You know that okay, you have this mindset of without me, it's not going to be done.
Yeah.
So when you come into the church, maybe you come down, the place is not orderly, you just try and put it in order.
As one man.
So as one man. Because now, the reason why we do these things, like I said earlier on, is because of the love of Christ. Now we're not doing it because of having expecting any blessing. We've passed that level. You know, like I said, the mature sons of God. Because when people come to Christ newly, they want to do things so that they can be blessed. Yeah, there's some people that already, it's not even eye service per se, because they know that okay, there's probably blessings. Yeah, we are not even focused on the blessings. We're focused on is our responsibility. We need to do these things because if we don't do it, nobody else will do it, and it's our Father's house.
And guess what? There's someone out there that will be inspired by what you're doing in the house of God. Because I can remember one time when I was in teens ministry, we were having a program in church, a teens conference, something like that. We're having it in church for schools. Yeah, so I came very early that day, and we're cleaning chairs.
Yeah.
Like me and some of my leaders, we came early that day to clean the chairs, and one of our member was in church that morning, and she walked up to me and said, Sister Beauty, please can I help you? Can I clean this? Because I always see you every morning when you come to church, you make sure that the chairs are clean.
No.
Yes. So they are always watching.
Yeah.
There's someone that you're inspired. I want to be doing this every time. When should I come to church? I'm like, you can come to church very early in the morning. You see, it's in responsibilities that we ring. It's in responsibilities that we ring.
Continue.
So there is a reward when you're responsible in the house of God.
Yeah.
There's a reward that comes with it. So you'll be amazed.
When you carry out responsibilities in God's house, the blessings, there are blessings that come with it.
Yeah, I want to read a scripture concerning the blessings. That's part of the advantages of carrying out responsibilities. In 1 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 8, it says, he who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. Now, what's it trying to say? He's saying that now someone else is planting someone else is watering, like in the farming terms.
Yeah.
But now this time around, we're talking about someone else is cleaning, someone else is trying to fix the sound and everything.
Someone else is
They
sweeping.
will, someone else is sweeping. Thank you. They will get their blessings accordingly to their labor, because now it's about the heart. It's about the heart. But when you have the right mind towards it, God looks at the heart. In case you are doing it for eye services, just know that there's no blessing for you. But when you come and you see these things, 1 Corinthians 3 verse 8 is yours.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
Exactly. And you know the Bible says the body maketh increase by that which every joint supplies. So I'm doing this one, someone else is doing this one, another person is doing this. We're making increase, we're making progress as we work together.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Now, but working in the house of God is part of the responsibilities of a Christian. Soul winning is part of the responsibilities of a Christian. Loving your neighbor, loving your fellow church members, loving anybody is part of the responsibilities of a Christian. Do you understand? And talking about the increase by that which every joint supplies, somebody can be winning a soul and somebody will be a soul builder.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I can.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry
Yeah.
to cause you there. Talking about soul building, that's why I come in, because I'm actually a soul builder in my church.
Yeah.
You understand? Because not what does soul building mean? This is not. It's different from just the normal meaning of soul. This is when you are fervent to this particular person, that you have taken the person's growth personally, that you ensure that this person is you ensure that the person grows and stays in the world, and the person gets to the full maturity where he also go out and start winning souls, because he has come to understand the word for himself. Now, although the soul winning is everybody's responsibility, but not everyone can build a
Be a
soul.
soul builder. That's true.
Yeah. So that's just it. I want to read the verse from Colossians chapter 3 verse 23. It said, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men." When you tend to work for God, like if you want to do things for God, that's where it will make you just wake up one morning and say, okay, because I love the Lord and I have passion for souls, I want to go out there and win souls. Then start working on building the soul.
That's very insightful, because I need something. Being responsible actually means taking up responsibilities. That means you are taking up things that are meant to be done. That's when you're actually responsible. There was a time where there's one thing that happened in my house. One day, me and my mom were just walking. I was actually begging her that, okay, please, can I use your car to be driving? She was still saying no, she was still looking. Until one day, we're not having an evening stroll, we're going to get something. And I told her, Mom, I actually sent money to your account. I deleted the alert, that's why I sent like 20K. Like, She now looked at me, and I've never since like in 3 days I've not even spoken to her about anything concerning the car again and stuff. As I even as we're now coming back, she now said, "Okay, go and bring the car key." I was now looking why. Then I brought it, she now tied one L. She now said, "Come and start driving." I said, because now she actually now her mindset changed. She saw the responsibility. She saw me as a responsible somebody.
Yeah.
She looked at me and like, okay, this is easy. And that's why I so much love this group, my ambassadors.
Okay.
Look at there are things we do, there are things we actually do that are just so wonderful.
Yeah.
We see things that are needed to be done, and we take up the project. We say, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
They will give us target, we'll finish it. That's me being responsible.
Yeah.
And we are taking up responsibility so much.
Prayer is also a responsibility of a Christian. To pray for the church, to pray for the growth of the church, to pray for your fellow person, to intercede on someone's behalf, to pray for nations, to pray for leaders of nations. That's also a responsibility of a Christian. Do you understand?
I'd like to say something. Like most of us here have nieces, nephews, younger sister or brother. Okay. While growing up, when I joined the ministry several years back, and my dad then I was in a children's church, and he told me that I actually threw something on the floor, a sweet wrapper. I threw it on the floor and he said I should pick it up. That don't I know that this is the house of God. If I was in his house, if I threw if I threw that stuff now, the sweet wrapper on the floor, nobody will tell me to pick it up.
You will
I know.
you will even serve punishment.
Nobody will tell me to pick it up. In fact, just that one thing I even dropped, my mom will carry broom and come and give me to sweep the whole house. So that is, you're laughing, but this is the truth here. This is he told me that this is the house of God.
Yeah.
It is your house.
Yeah.
Christ is our Father.
Yeah.
This is his house, and we need to
Make sure
it is properly cleaned and shining.
Taking responsibility
Yes.
for the cleanliness of God's
So
house.
anytime I see people throwing this tight envelope slip or partnership slip on the ground, I pick it up and put it inside my bag.
Yeah.
So now when I get home, I'll see my bag. Because so many slips are inside my bag. So I can't just feel alright when I'm seeing all those things on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my. I know we have cleaners in church.
They are
They are
dedicated
dedicated
people
people to do those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I see it, I won't be alright throughout that service.
You will just
I
pass
won't
and
just
leave.
I would rather pick it up and continue my worship and my praise than to just after service some members will come and meet you and then it goes off. So I rather pick it that time.
That also reminds me about something our man of God does, and Pastor Chris. Yeah, you've been noticing when he's coming up on stage, he's always very conscious of his environment. He's always looking around, and once he sees something that is not somewhere, he's like, hey, get this out of here. You know that? Now you might be thinking he's a pastor. That's not his work. It's not his work to get something off the stage, but it's his responsibility. I see that. See, this is the house of God, and it has to look clean. So it is my responsibility to make sure that this place is clean at all times.
Yes, that's the difference between a man of God and a baby of God.
There's something we need to understand. This topic about responsibility as a Christian can never be emphasized, because our lives as a Christian, in all ramification, is we need to take responsibilities. But we are responsible for so many things, like you just mentioned, for souls. You pray before you go and meet you have to pray for them, interceding. You have to still give alms. You still have to give your tithe, partners. All these are responsibilities. The life of a Christian is a life of responsibility. The life of a Christian is a life of responsibility. The life of a Christian is a life of responsibility.
Continue.
Exactly.
That's the first thing you need to understand. If you can understand that, if you can, like I said, if you can make it personal, then you wouldn't have struggles, because you wouldn't be in the house of God and things are going wrong and you just keep quiet. You would like to add value or try to correct it. That's why we have the leaders. We have people above us for them to correct us, because now we might be doing things that are not right, thinking that okay, we have this conviction, but we might be going the wrong path. Now it's the responsibility of a leader. Everybody have their own responsibility in the house of God. That's why I love the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
He talks to the leader and gives an instruction. Now you may feel like you're doing the right thing, but now he has given him an instruction. Now it's his responsibility to pass the message down to you that this is what the Holy Spirit is saying at this particular time.
And it's your responsibility to execute it.
Thank you. It's your responsibility to listen and to carry it out, to hit his instruction.
Where the blessing is in the doing.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
always.
That's where the blessing is. It's not when you listen. Anybody can listen.
Yeah.
Anybody can hear what you have said.
I have a scripture.
The ones who are wait for your scripture. The ones who have actually carried out work that is given to them, they're the ones that get the blessing.
Thank you. James chapter 4 verse 17 says, so whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is a sin.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen that scripture? That is the perfect one. For people now, you know the right thing. They've told you, okay. They don't need to tell you. You know it already because you study the word for yourself. And you fail to do it, you've committed sin.
So irresponsibility is a sin.
That's basically
That's it.
It's the word of God.
That's it.
I'm not one that said it.
Yeah, exactly.
I met it and I'm following
That's
it.
what God says. If you know what to do and you don't do it,
It's a sin.
it's
It's a different thing that you don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
And now, the thing is that Christians, whenever we go astray, there are repercussions that come with it. Most of the times. Because the truth is that we knew like David said, before I was afflicted, I went astray. Because you okay, now let me understand. When I was in school, let me use myself as an example. I was a leader in school. I was like the regional head of where I stayed, the vicinity where I stayed. So although we already like closing, we've closed actually for the semester, but church was still on. So me, I wanted to go back to Lagos and then so there was a leaders meeting. That was like the last leaders meeting before, and it was so long. I was like, I'm going to Lagos very soon. Like the next day, let me go and pack my bags. So I went back home that day, and where I stay, there's some cultists there, and they already know me. Do you understand? Like they know me as okay, this is someone that goes to and stuff, but they don't disturb me that much. But that particular day, guess what? Because I don't stay for that meeting. When I got home, they were having this kind of quarrel, and they beat the hell out of me. I did. If I immediately start to me in a very low voice, you refuse to stay for leaders meeting. I was at the wrong place at the right time. So, that's just like that.
You run away from your responsibility. Before you went out.
Okay, now, since Jonah in the Bible, Jonah was trying to run, but God had got time.
Begging.
So you can't actually run away. You can't actually run away from
You can't
it.
run away from it.
If you do, you're committing sin.
And see, if you think about it, Adam was actually very irresponsible.
Yes.
Because after everything happened, when God came to meet him, what did he say? It is the woman you gave me. Irresponsibility. Like, if I was God then,
Thank God is normal. And he's godly.
I put you in charge of over everything, and then I'm coming to ask you that what's up? And you're telling me it is the woman.
That means it's God that caused this.
So you're blaming God.
God that caused her.
Are you not blaming God? And that is why when we get born again, we are not of the first Adam, but the second Adam, which is Jesus.
Yes.
And Jesus is a very responsible person.
I'm from Jesus.
Right from 12 years old, he was already going to the temple.
Yes.
And he was teaching.
Jesus is very, very responsible. And when we get born again, we are in Christ. We are in a place called Christ.
Yes.
We function from Christ.
Yes.
So because we function from Christ, we have to be responsible.
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
A dog cannot give birth to a lion.
Yes.
Do you understand? Now that we're in Christ, Christ is responsible. We have to be responsible.
We have the ability.
We have the
to be
ability.
responsible.
And yeah, exactly. We have the ability to be responsible. And with the doing comes the ability and the grace to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you understand? There's no that you're now thinking of how you have the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is there to teach, to guide you, to counsel you.
And also responsibility is perfection. Because once you are doing these things, responsibility is actually to clean chairs. Once you are doing it constantly, you are taking our responsibility constantly, you'll be perfect at it.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's like a craft.
Yes.
Responsibility is actually like a craft. Like, for example, our fathers, if they are taking care of you, like if they are going out daily, you see that they just get better at whatever their work they are doing.
Yes.
They'll be expanding. They'll come and say, I've got me promotion.
Yes.
They'll tell you, okay, I just did this business and it's expanding. Why? Because their responsibility has become a perfection for them. So now they do it perfectly well.
Yeah.
They don't just raise people and they don't just do things irresponsibly like Adam. They take after Christ.
We should be very consistent.
Yeah, dragging Adam.
No, I have to drag you. You cannot beat them by now.
Thank God for Jesus.
Thank God for Jesus.
You cannot beat them by now. We will not be struggling like we will not be all this.
And consistency is just the key. It's a spirit of excellence. You
Yeah.
should be very consistent in everything you're doing in the house of God. Even funny enough, even when you're responsible in the house of God, you carry it everywhere.
Yes.
Your working place,
Sure.
your
The difference.
yeah, even in your career, your anything it's from the house of God, from your father's house.
Talking about what she just said, consistency. If you realize, let's use our man of God as an example, Pastor Reverend Chris. He started from a young age. When he was always teaching, we call it even the seniors, even when he was on campus, he was always preaching. Now look at where he is
Right
today.
from secondary school.
Right from secondary
As in
school.
calling people above him.
That,
So it's not
and
even
they
for him.
threatened him.
Yes, you know, like that's the thing. Like when you keep doing these things and with a perfect heart,
Yeah.
that is the main. That's where the blessings. That's where the increase come. When you are doing, because some people, the truth is that some people actually taking responsibilities in the house of God and they're not seeing the results. Because now, so when they come, see this chair, they can just clean out my bed, but they're not happy cleaning it. If the next person comes and person sits down, how you dey sit down for this chair? You know how to be
You know where I go bring am. You know clean am.
That's the thing. Because now you're being proud, and that's what God resists the proud.
Yeah.
Now, when you just do it and keep quiet, you have this feeling like, wow, it's my works. Everybody's happy sitting down here. You know, God will say that, okay, yes, this one is very, very fruitful.
And that's actually very true, because I remember something someone taught me when I started playing drums in church. I used to ask people for money to buy drumsticks. Do you get? I used to ask people for money to buy drumsticks. Then someone told me, and he said, "See these drumsticks I'm buying for you. Anytime I give you these drumsticks, I pray on these drumsticks that Father, as this boy is using this stick to hit this drum, that's how my business will be noised abroad."
Wow.
Do you get? So in my mind, this guy they use me cash out. Now, so I caught that and I learned it. Now when I came onto maturity, when I started making money for myself, that I was buying drumsticks for myself. That's the same thing I do up until today. When I get drumsticks, I say, as I'm playing these sticks, people are hearing of my business. People are hearing of what I do. And now I took that responsibility upon myself. First of all, for my life, for my business, and for the house of God. No, first of all, for the house of God, for my life, and for my business.
You know,
just because I'm buying the drumsticks for the house of God. I'm buying the drumsticks for the house of God. Using it as a point of contact for my life. I'm healthy, I'm strong. And then for my business is growing. Do you understand?
You know,
that's the chain of blessing.
There's something things we said about the ambassadors, you know. Like I wouldn't want to use some like a group that we don't know. Let us use one that we do know.
Yes, exactly.
Now look at us in the ambassadors now. We have giants, we have kingdom financiers, because we already understood this mindset of we're responsible for this, we're responsible for that. Even if we're just a group in the church, but that doesn't limit us. Do you understand? Like we take up projects for ourselves and just look at our lives. It's to show I'm saying this to inspire other young people. You know, because if you do these things with a willing heart, if we tell each other, if this guy is very humble, this guy is very good. But if you begin to say what we do, you understand, like you'll be inspired too. You know, because of this heart and mind that we already had for responsibilities, because this is our father's business, and it's our own business too. You know, there's no how you give so much time, money, energy, and everything into your father's business, and you make your own business so far. It's not possible.
God is a very wise businessman.
Exactly.
He actually likes investing in people that can take up good responsibilities. Like the people he gave talents to, the 10, 5, and 1. He actually gave them responsibilities. Those were responsibilities he gave to them. But the last guy that he gave this money was so irresponsible that he couldn't even do anything. But the one he gave 10, multiplied, but that one he gave was just so irresponsible.
Yeah,
and
he will
couldn't take
bless
up.
you. God, he will always bless
Multiply you.
But it is very disrespectful not blessing him too. It is very disrespectful. So don't joke with it at all.
And that's very true. Blessing God is more than, oh God, I bless your name. I bless you. It's not, I honor you. I honor you. I honor you.
It's about your actions.
How do you show that you actually honor God? How do you show that you love God? When you carry out your responsibilities, when you love someone else, you're showing that you love God, because God is love and God is in you. Do you understand? So there can be no hatred in you.
The Bible said, how can you say you love me when you don't love your neighbor?
Yes.
That's the thing. That's the thing. How can you say you love God when you and your neighbor, you guys are not talking? Even your brother in church, people are keeping malice.
You will see the person and you pass.
And you say, Father, why are you declaring? We declare that we love
in
you.
favor of David that they say he loved God. It showed in his works. He did do
Yes,
it.
yes.
He did do it for God. And when God told him, okay, he wanted to build with them, God told him, no, don't build. That your hands are stained with blood.
Your son.
He dropped, see the materials he dropped for the kingdom of God.
Another
Even Solomon saw that my father actually loved God.
Yeah.
So he picked up that attitude from him, he picked up that responsibility from him that, okay, I'm the one holding the kingdom of God now. Let's build God a temple. So it was a responsibility passed on through love.
You know that
Act of
the
God.
thing about responsibilities is that you just find yourself doing it.
Yes.
Yes.
You just find yourself doing it. For example, Solomon, yeah, David was a giver. David was a giver. Then Solomon picked up that attitude from David's father. That see what he gave to God. God came to him in the middle of the night. Solomon, oh, how far?
What do you want?
What do you want?
That I cannot give.
And he actually did that for me. He just did that.
Another thing is the motive at which you are carrying out your responsibility.
That's what I said earlier.
Do you understand? You don't do it for eye service. You will not get the blessing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
You know, someone said, how you act when you're alone, when nobody's pushing you to do anything, that is who you are actually. Now, when you are alone by yourself, what do you think about? What's on your mind? How do you want to finance this gospel? Or is it that, if I just make this money now, I go club? Do you understand? So, it's when you're alone, that's when we know how you are truly. That's how God will know that, okay, this guy, his heart is for me, or his heart is for someone else.
Like now, our man of God, Pastor Reverend Chris, if actually as he started, nobody was giving him accolades. He had nobody to bench on for, okay, accolades. Okay, I've done this. So they will say, wow, wonderful.
Just like
but
David.
instead, they were if they see him, they will
Just
start
like David, he had to encourage
He
himself.
encouraged himself. So you have to, if you are doing it from your heart, you'll be more engrossed in it.
Yeah.
Like especially in our campus ministry where I started fellowship, because the fellowship we are starting it afresh. So it was nobody was there to give you accolades. You drop seed, nobody was there to thank you. Say everything just went to you were financing the gospel for yourself, for his kingdom. Yes, that I'm responsible for this thing. There was a program we had there. So I say, have you washed clothes and squeezed the clothes? They squeeze us like this. Because it's just the starting this thing. So you are the one early morning, you wake up, go around, invite people. You don't arrange the chairs for the program. You don't set up stage. They say, okay, the stage costs 500k. You are the one paying it. Like, nobody's there to give you, okay, well done, you are doing it. Nobody's there to give you.
I can relate so much because I also went to the campus ministry. And when you're a leader in church in the campus ministry, you know that it's iron hands that they use there. And this one, your faith has to be radical.
Yes.
Because the projects which we carry as students, people are wondering, where do they see this money?
This money on that
People like, these people are Christians and they are so rich. Students, they say, students, they are always broke. It's a lie. We are rich.
We know we are
because when you just say it, okay, I'm giving 20,000 naira for this particular, there's a grace that comes with you saying it.
Yes.
And you don't just say it, you go home and you pray about it. One way or the other, I can assure you, so when your mind is there, it comes to you. I'm a testimony of that. My life has been a testimony like that. So if I say something, I must do it. Because I actually believe in the thing I said.
Yes.
So that's just it, because, talking about campus ministry, I know how many times I shuffled interstates for programs. I ushered in Unilag for youth conference for Lagos. I went for youth conference for Port Harcourt, Benin. And so, I was schooling in Owerri, Imo State, traveling. Nobody sends you. You have to take care of yourself. And you will still raise money for buses and stuff.
Yes.
So, if you're not convinced, if you don't have this conviction, you can't do these things. Do you understand?
Yeah.
When I will tell you, you are meant to usher in Lagos and you are in Imo State.
How? How is that possible?
How? The program is on, and as well as the usher, it's left for you to. They may not even talk to you again. But that day, they expect to see you there.
They believe they're responsible. They just have this one responsible.
And do you know why that is? It's because they see you as the son of consolation.
Yes, sir.
It's because they actually see you as the son of consolation. Because the son of consolation is looking from the Bible in the book of Acts chapter 4. I think the closing verses in Acts chapter 4. The Bible talked about Barnabas.
Yeah.
His name is actually Joseph. Is he Joseph or Joseph? That the apostles nicknamed Barnabas, which means the son of consolation. Why? His land, he sold his land and brought the money for them to use in the work of the gospel.
It's no Ananias or Sapphira.
It's not
So
about
those of you know that they are going for eye service.
Yes,
They want
yes.
accolades.
Those are fire. Like Jesus says.
Yeah,
Don't
actually try them.
Actually,
That's actually and that's
thunder really fired them. This one is no caffeine or just thunder fired them. And you know how the story went.
That's actually the thing. When you carry out your responsibilities with a clear heart, you become a son of consolation in the house of God, and then you receive the blessings that comes with it. That's like even giving is a responsibility in the house of God. And
very crucial one.
Why most people don't get the blessings from giving is like one thing Pastor Biozo said, that you in your mind you drop $1 million seed and then you go to sleep. In your mind you drop the seed work for you. You become poor. Because after you've given the seed, it's also your responsibility to make sure that your seed works for you.
Yes.
How? You speak words on it.
You pray consistently.
Do you understand?
The Bible said the fervent prayer of a righteous man
it maketh power available.
Yes.
Do you understand? So it's also your responsibility to confess words on your seed that is on. If you plant a seed in the ground and you don't water it, will you come 3 days after expecting a tree to come?
It is your mindset that towards those things. Like I said, when you drop it down, you should know that okay, you've done this, I appreciate that. That's for you to make the power available for the results you expect to see happen.
Yeah. And this has really been an awesome session. Do you understand? I learned so much about carrying out your responsibilities in the house of God, and why you should carry out your responsibilities in the house of God. And when you are carrying out your responsibilities in the house of God, do it with a cheerful heart.
Yes.
Be happy. Do you understand? Be happy about it. Be happy that this work has been given to you to do.
Yes.
Don't do it as though Ma just done. Do you get? If you say that Ma just done, God says, Ma just bless her.
You know, Ma just made no be like that.
Made no be like that, no bless her. Shake it, but carry it out as though this thing is solely dependent on you. Like if you don't do it, it's not going to work.
That's why I love
That's
that
all.
Pastor Joy's slogan, as one man.
As one man.
Yeah, as one man. And you feel it that okay, yes, she's actually taking this thing for herself. She's carrying on.
That's what it needs to be by as one
Yes.
man.
You should be very sincere.
Yeah. No eye service. No lip service. I will do it.
And you won't do anything.
Not for the wrong motives.
Yes. This session has really been inspiring. I'd like to thank you all so much.
Thank you for the privilege.
For coming on set with me. Sezu, beauty, I love your smile.
She's so pretty.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the enlightening session. And to you, our viewers, I'd like to say thank you for staying with us till the end of the video. We have more content coming your way. Make sure you subscribe and turn on post notification. I remain your host, Mide Lucas, and we are the ambassadors. Thank you.